Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith. Today I am talking about Firefly, Big Damn Hero by James Lovegrove. Original story concept by Nancy Holder. And this is from Titan Books. Nice fancy hardcover with a little ribbon bookmark, which I used. It's like nice and smooth, and then you get into the picture, and it's a little rough. It's a little embossed. Very fancy. So this is obviously, maybe not for everybody, a novel based on the Joss Whedon TV show Firefly. Takes place during the time of the TV show, so before the events of the movie Serenity. And quickly, for those of you who don't know, it's a space western, and there was a civil war of sorts in space. The Alliance trying to take over all these worlds, sort of iron fist them, and this groups of rebels called the Brown Coats that were fighting against them. The Brown Coats lost, and so Malcolm Reynolds, played by Nathan Fillion, he pilots a Firefly class starship called the Serenity, with Zoe, who fought with him in the war, and her husband Wash, who's their pilot. Kaylee is a young lady who's their engineer. Jane is this sort of mercenary, chaotic evil? Not chaotic neutral. Maybe unlawful. I don't know. But you got to watch your back around Jane. And then they've taken on some other passengers, River and Simon, and Shepherd Book. Anyway, so and they're space pirates. Not really space pirates, space smugglers, I suppose. They're just looking for jobs to keep them flying. Doesn't necessarily matter if the job is a legal job. And River and Simon are on the run from the Alliance, so they have to keep away from the Alliance because of that. Anyway, so in this book, they are on the planet Persephone, taking a job from this guy Badger to deliver some very volatile crates to a mining planet, and Mal is also possibly taking another small job. He's supposed to meet somebody at a bar. And it happens to be Alliance Day. So Mal and Zoe, being brown coats, and anybody who's, brown coat or brown coat sympathetic, very unhappy about Alliance Day. Lots of drunkenness and craziness going on. Well, to make a long story, unfortunately not short enough, Mal gets kidnapped. And so they've got to deliver they have a delivery to make, and the Alliance is on their tail, but they want to look for Mal. So all sorts of stuff going on. So first of all, it says original story concept by Nancy Holder. If you've watched my Reading Remembrances videos, I've read a bit of Nancy Holder, and so I've talked about her. I like her writing, her story ideas, but her endings usually fall flat for me. They just don't seem to work in a lot of cases. When this series of novels was announced, and I believe there's 8 or 9 at this point, this is the first one, it was announced that Nancy Holder would be writing the first novel, James Lovegrove would be writing the next one, and then there was a point where it became, James Lovegrove is going to write the first one based on the story that Nancy Holder set up. I don't know why. I have no idea about any of this. But I don't necessarily see the DNA of either writer in this story. It's written well enough. There's plenty of interesting action. I think they capture the voices of the characters very well. They capture the universe very well. As a fan of the show and having seen it multiple times and seen the movie multiple times, whenever I'm reading the dialogue, I can hear the actors' voices, the characters speaking. Um, for the too short, it's already too late for this, but for the too short or too long didn't watch people, I gave this 3 out of 5 stars, which means I liked it. It didn't blow me away. And one of the problems I had, and this is me, this is a me problem, and it's something I didn't really think about years and years and years ago when I was reading media tie-ins. But for some reason, it really hit me while reading this that there are no real stakes, because I know for a fact all of these characters, all of the main characters, are going to survive. They're in the next episode of the TV show. And you could say, well, there's also 7 or 8 more books, so you know they're going to survive. But, you know, if this were an original novel, an original idea, not based on anything, and it had just come out, I wouldn't know if anyone was going to survive. So I know Mal's kidnapped in the book. I understand what's the tension that they're trying to build, but I didn't feel any tension because I know Mal is going to be fine. So that's one thing. And again, that's almost entirely a me thing. For some reason, it just bothered me when I was reading this. But that aside, as I said, the writing is good. It moves along at a quick pace. There are decisions to be made. Mal's gone, but they have this stuff that has to be delivered or could explode and destroy their ship. Also, the Alliance has sort of pinged them and is after them, but they want to go after Mal, but they got responsibilities. What's going on? And we get a lot of Malcolm Reynolds' backstory. That's probably the most interesting part of this book. There are some interesting characters, there are some fun characters, but this is stuff that we never got in the TV show. I've only read, I think, 1 or 2 of the comic book miniseries. So I don't know what there's tons and tons of Firefly comic book stuff, and I have no idea what any of that has explored. So for me, this was my first real taste of Malcolm Reynolds in his early 20s. He's 18, 19, 20-ish on his home planet with friends, leading up to him joining the Browncoats. And it's all going to tie into what's going on in the book. That was the most interesting part to me. I have all the rest of the books, and I will read them and hopefully enjoy them. And maybe, I don't know if, maybe I'll get over this whole, I know nothing's going to happen to them. I mean, I know that going in when I'm reading something like this. I don't know why it bothered me. Excuse me. But, yeah, I think that's it. So that's Firefly, Big Damn Hero by James Lovegrove, with an original story concept by Nancy Holder. I did, in my list of books that I've read, all the books I've read since 1985, I put down James Lovegrove, and then in parentheses, I didn't want to write all of this original story concept by, so I just parenthetically put Nancy Holder. So if you're a Firefly fan, I definitely recommend it. It's a fun, rollicking story. It's always fun to visit these characters, as problematic as Joss Whedon might be. It's so tough. I'm a fan of James Lovegrove. I'm a fan of the characters in the show and everything. I hate to support Joss Whedon at this point in time, but I get the books. Anyway, if you're a fan, I recommend it. It's a nice visit with old friends, as it were. If you're not really a big fan of Firefly, like, I'm not saying if you don't like Firefly, I'm like, if you're not really familiar with it, or anything, but you're interested in like a sort of a western, space western, um, then give it a try. I don't think you need any prior knowledge. I don't think you ever need to have seen the show to enjoy the book. I'm pretty sure, especially with all the backstory we get with Malcolm Reynolds, pretty sure everything you need to know about the characters and who they are, how they connect, how everything works. I think that's all in here. Pretty sure that's all in here. It's hard to say because I know all the stuff from the show and the movies and all that. But yeah, I think you could, if you're interested in just a science fiction western, um, then Firefly, big damn hero, and it is very much a western feel. They use. I don't think I've ever seen like a ray gun or a laser gun. It's 6-shooters and rifles and stuff. There are spaceships, but unless you're part of the Alliance, they're like rust bucket spaceships. Persephone there's the rich section of town and there's the shitty section of town, and there's bar brawls and farmers, and these are the planets out on the rim. Most of what goes on in the show and in this book are the planets on the rim where the Alliance doesn't really put anything into the economy, just sucks out what it can. So very much an old West kind of feel. Just happens to have spaceships, flying cars, holograms, things like that. But none of it, very seldom do we ever see it bright and shiny. So there you go. Firefly, big damn hero. James Lovegrove, Nancy Holder. 3 out of 5 stars. I liked it. And I'm definitely going to read the rest of them, especially since I already own them. All right, question for this video, very simple. Since this is the first one in the series, are you a fan of Firefly? Did you watch the show? Did you see the movie Serenity? Have you read any of the comic books? Do you enjoy it? Do you not care for it? I was, at the time that it came out, I was a Joss Whedon fan. I loved Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Fan of a lot of the people in this show. So I was very excited for it. It lasted 1 season. Not even sure they showed all of the episodes. I think there's like 13 episodes, and they didn't show all of them because Fox showed it out of order, and it kept getting interrupted by baseball. So it was really hard to get into the show because you'd have 2 episodes out of order, and there was overarching story. Like each episode, for the most part, was standalone, but there's an overarching story, and so it could get confusing when people in this episode are talking about things we've never heard of, and 2 episodes later is when we're introduced to those things that they're making reference to. And then, again, you watch 1-2 episodes, and then it's not on for a week. Then there's an episode. Then it's not on for a week. Fox did them dirty. But I loved the show. I was very excited for the movie Serenity. I have both on home video. And, yeah. So, yes, I'm a big fan. I guess that's my answer to the question. But what about you? Are you familiar with it? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Why? For either answer, let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. If you'd care to... Oh, please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. And if you care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronan5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is ErikSmith5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH5757. And if you're on Blue Sky, I am @ELSmith. That's all I have for you. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.